Let's start tonight's show.
You're now in the mix with the young DJ Cuda. Tonight we gon' be going in.
Green money, green light, everything's a go. I might just slice the apple, I should let the niggas know. Them niggas tryna ride my way, but we in different boats. I probably get your girl deep, but that's on a different note. I Gary Coleman when I hit it, I got different strokes. Like I just passed Shorty the rock, man, I just give and go. I only let her come and see me in the nighttime. High beams on my feature, that's a bright shine. Young cash getting in a black suit, ooh. Vroom vroom, pull off in a black coupe, ooh. Young Leonardo, try and catch me if you can, yeah. Like a drummer, you can catch me with the bands, yeah. Might take your lady for a summer up in France, whoa. Fuck you, pay me, I like my cash in advance, whoa. I know some people that don't practice what they preach, nah. If you ain't standing for something, go have a seat, yeah. My niggas talking but got nothing good to say, No time to waste, I'm making cake on every day, I'm moving major cause your boy a major deal, yeah. I flex for me, could care less how it made you feel, yeah. I'm tryna stack it to the sky, need a meal before I die. And the chick so fucking bad, she could make a nigga cry. I just copped the wood so fast, that shit look like it could fly. I'm flying by, way too fast, ain't no time for high and buys. Green money, green light, everything's a goal. I might just slice the apple, I should let the niggas know. Them niggas tryna ride my way, but we in different boats. I probably get your girl deep, but that's on a different note. I Gary Coleman when I hit it, I got different strokes. Like I just passed Shorty the rock, man, I just give and go. I only let her come and see me in the nighttime. High beams on my feature, that's a bright shine. Looking at my wristwatch, thinking that it's time to get it. Every single day is like another Armageddon. Set the quota high, introduce myself and met it. I told them I was sick, but they ain't never call a medic. Now I'm hella ill, getting better still. Gotta get a meal, I'm the bomb, and I'm going off. I could never chill, boy, I'm being nice. She's your girl, but I could get her still. I remember they she gave me back rows with the Cetaphil. Don't act, boy, use the app, boy. You don't want that tit for tat, boy, I'm really that, boy. And seeing it's a rap, boy, I really rap, boy. That's a fact, boy. I've been running things, you should try not to get lapped, boy. Surf's up, I'm really out here riding on my way. Pull up to your function, turn the party to a rave. Baby girl, you cute, but you're something you should know. Money before anything else, that's my baby. Green money, green light, everything's a go. I might just slice the apple, I should let the niggas know. Them niggas tryna ride my way, but we in different boats. I probably get your girl deep, but that's on a different note.
I'm feeling like a young Sean, nigga. Get my big dog a bone, nigga. I did this shit on my own, nigga. 26 on my left wrist. Shit look like a pot of piss. Why these bitches on the nigga dick? Why these bitches on the nigga dick?
Little bitch, she all on my cock. Baby girl, you need to stop. I'm just trying to chase a knot. Baby girl, tryna block.
It's the game, homie.
I think that they see that we next. 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 I know that they see that we next.
Oh man, goddamn, DJ Shot, let's go.
Get the guap. Once I top, reach the top. All these bitches in my car. All these bitches on my dick. Whoa, I think that they see that we next. 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 Yeah, nigga, I get the guap. Once I top, reach the top. All these bitches in my car. All these niggas on my dick. Whoa, I think that they see that we next. I think that they see that we next. I think that they see that we next. Yeah, she knowing that we next. Whoa,
Little bitch, she all on my cock. Baby girl, you need to stop. I'm just trying to chase a knot. Baby girl, tryna block. Whoa, watch how I run through a check. Watch how I flex and finesse. Watch how I count them bands. I be fast like a jet. Whoa, I got this ink on my body. Cooler in me like Yachty. Two bitches out in the lobby. They geeking right up off the mollies. I know them bitches want some money, but baby girl, I'm not a dummy. She sneaking, geeking like it's funny. I put my dick up in her tummy. Whoa, yeah, nigga, I get the guap. Once I top, reach the top. All these bitches in my car. All these niggas on my dick. Whoa, I think that they see that we next. 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 Yeah, nigga, I get the guap.
Alright, we in the building, man. It's Player Talk Radio. We are in the building. Alright, we in the building. Shout out to Yachty. Alright. We got a very special guest on tonight's show, man. It's Player Talk Radio. We are in the building, man. Hold on, y'all. We got a special guest in the building. Guest alert, guest alert. You know, we got Brother Wise in the building. So we're going to bring him in. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, we are in the building. We got our brother here, Brother Wise here on the line.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can hear you, Brother Wise. Are you here with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, man. We are in the building. This Player Talk Radio, man. Brother Wise in the building. We got a lot of stuff going on today's show.
Glad to be here.
Stuff going on. Glad to be here. Glad to be here also, man. How you been?
Man, I've been good, man. I can't complain. You know, got some things going on like anybody.
Yeah, man. That's exactly how it goes, man. That's life, you know.
That's right.
So, man, what's been up with you? Like, you know, you got the channel up, you got everything going, and you know, what do you like? I want to get your, I want to pick your mind on the state of the game today. Like, you know, in your opinion, your humble opinion, what state do you think the game is in today? Like the whole dating scene and just everything in general. Like, do you think that everything is kind of messy, or do you think everything will be all right? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd say the game is in a state of disarray for the most part these days. I know there's a lot of players out there who have the game, and they're able to do quite well for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people, I think, that could benefit from the game, and it's not necessarily for everyone, but then, because, tricks are going to be tricks.
Hey, that's true. That's true, man. Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the game, it's got a number of things going on. I think when you have law enforcement dealing with the P's out there in the way that they have, and there's kind of a black guy being put on the game with the idea that pimping is child molesters or traffickers, and that kind of thing. That's the unfortunate part, really.
Yeah, because there's a lot of misconceptions behind the word pimp,
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what's the whole deal, why they trying to lump you guys into lump pimps into child molesters and predators and all this other stuff,
Yeah, I think when different things happen, and it's unfortunate that there would be someone underage involved in something that they shouldn't be.
That's true.
That you kind of get this concept that maybe that's what they all do, or you get somebody who drops a video and they're up there headbutting bitches and have them standing in corners. It's just a misrepresentation of the game. It's a misrepresentation.
Yeah. No, you're right about that, man. Yeah, and a lot of times too, things are a trend, right. This whole Me Too thing is a trend. Oprah delivering, the Hollywood speech, knowing damn well Hollywood, much crazy stuff go on behind the scenes of Hollywood. Hollywood's the last place to be talking about, sexual. Well, it's the first and the last, so I don't know.
Right.
It's a mix-up. Do you know Terry Crews?
Yeah.
We were
back.
Yeah, we were talking about him a couple of shows back, where he said he was on the red carpet, and I don't know the dude's name, but it's a white guy, and he's like a film producer, I guess he said, and he said while he was on the red carpet with his wife and kids, he walked up to him and grabbed his crotch, and he was shocked, so he really didn't do nothing. And then think about it, if he had done something on the red carpet, it would have looked bad. Black, strong black man lashes out and starts fighting. So
right.
So he came out publicly about it. No sisters backed him. The Me Too movement was nowhere to be found. And the thing is that a lot of men go through stuff alone that that we don't get no type of help on, or is shunned upon, or people like, oh well, he'll get over it or something like that. And then I just read an article recently saying that he's gonna go in for mental therapy or something like that. I'm like, why aren't people helping him?
Yeah, I could imagine if something like that happened to me. I don't know if I'd have been able to contain myself.
Yeah.
I could see myself, I have to go through whatever they got planned for me. So, motherfucker do that, it really better been on accident.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing to violate somebody, and to be a man being violated by another man, and it's not your thing. It can turn into there being some consequences and repercussions. So
I agree.
I could feel for him wanting to go an extra mile. I wouldn't necessarily need therapy or anything. Basically, I know what I'd be feeling is hostility. So I don't need anybody to try to calm me down from it or anything. But I think his position probably is, he's probably looking for some kind of money or something out of it, which I think he should deserve.
Of course.
The way that things are, he don't necessarily need to see the guy in jail, but he should pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's just crazy. And people are bold. They'll do that stuff like at the wrong time, like right in front of your family and everything. That,
Yeah, then I think that would cause a reaction they wouldn't want, probably even more.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see how he could have been shocked and stuff, but damn. Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on nobody, man.
Yeah, I seen him come out on one of these videos talking about it. He was, trying to let people know, because it seems like it's kind of hush hush. Mm-hmm. I think with us being men, a lot of men, we don't complicate things very much. It's kind of like, well, he's either going to sink or swim when it comes to that situation. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I don't think it's that complicated when it comes down to it. It's good he controlled himself, overall, but I wouldn't have blamed him if he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, he might get, blackballed like Monique, man.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think about that whole Monique situation? I never got a chance to ask you about that. Do you kind of feel for where she's coming from, or do you think she's kind of like reaching with her campaign?
Yeah, I paid attention to it so I could, make sure I have a full understanding. And I know one thing is that I've pretty much always liked her, and I think if we're going to do anything, we should be on code. I think if she says, hey, they're not treating me right, the idea is, you know what, screw the company. I have feelings for what's going on with her, and that she be able to get the sort of treatment that she wants. So I'd ride with her.
Yeah, because I was saying I was riding with her at first, and then she kind of got on this whole slavery thing, and then she kind of switched over to the women thing, and then how men don't help and stuff, and then like it just kind of messed me up. It's like she's going on like a sympathy tour, But at the same time, I see where she's going though.
Yeah, I think she's probably trying to get the type of reaction she wanted, and I could tell she probably wasn't. A lot of us are going to be pulled in different directions, but I think I know what it's like to be Negro in America. It's just, we might be quote unquote crying wolf to some, to actually live in this society as a black male. I know what she can be dealing with as a black woman, even though we'd like to think maybe she's exonerated or something. I don't think so. I believe her.
They try to move on to Tiffany Haddish, but like I think one thing that where Monique messed up too, because they said they blackballed her for a long time, but like I think where she messed up was like she didn't really stay too relevant in the comedy world. Like if you haven't had a special out in the last like 3 to 5 years, people will forget you really quickly, It's really crazy.
Yeah, she probably could have made a lot of different moves, but I think she does have enough on her resume that she should be paid better than what she was.
Yeah.
I think the company would have the ability to do some decent paying, and a lot of people would like to see her since they haven't seen her in a while. You know, she might have taken out to, you know, be with her family, to have some her time, enjoy her money time. You know, she had the last, you know, it was a hit movie, you know, with her, with Precious. And I think when it comes to the whole Precious thing, I didn't like the type of movie that it was, but, you know, she did a job.
Yeah.
And I think she should be able to reap some benefits from that.
Do you think though they gave her that Oscar as like to kind of like just like here you go, yeah, you know, leave, because like the role she was playing in Precious is kind of like it was kind of like textbook white supremacist Hollywood casting. You know, you play the mammy and it kind of shows like the incest and all kinds of stuff.
Right, but you know, I think there was a certain amount of reality to it. You know, depending on the way one may have been raised. You know, I tell sometimes, you know, in my own, you know, in my own circle, I talk about how the fact that if they persons don't know me, you wouldn't necessarily realize, even though I speak the way that I do, I'm a Negro, and I'm a real Negro. You know, I got family members, and this is the way I was raised. And from what was going on in her house, there's a lot of black women that do behave that way. You know, I think it's a shame, you know, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of reasons behind that sort of thing. Not to give anyone any passes for that behavior, because we have to be responsible for what we do. But for her to portray it, it makes us have to think, you know, whether or not that seemed to be acceptable to people who watch.
I agree. But do you think that like well, there is a whole bunch of incest in the black community that we don't talk about, which is crazy.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. And do you think like because like on the show we kind of talk about that, and in the past we talked about like, you know, like black history in America, how there's things that are passed down through slavery that we still go through to this day. Like it's like a Jezebel spirit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, you see, people talk about like black history, but they talk about like, oh, we were slaves, and then they leave it at that. They don't really deal with the psychological effects that actually came from slavery and the sex farms and how we were like bred like pit bulls, and how, you know, even fathers don't look out too much for their children because they knew they were going to go to another plantation and things like that. We talked about a lot of shit on this show, so it's like crazy how, you know, that's a show in and of itself.
Yeah, I think in that sort of situation, there's a lot to be said, and I know that there's different, you know, people who spoke on it, and I think I've agreed with some, disagreed with others, and it kind of depends. And I know with it having a lot of detail, I'd say that the position that black people are in, they are mostly going to need to be ready to take responsibility for the position that they're in. The more we blame somebody else, the more we empower them, and the more power we take away from self to be able to go ahead and make the changes that we know are necessary. If we want to be in a better position, we're going to have to do something. However, I do understand the idea that, you know, being in a society that is built upon keeping you in a certain condition, then it's kind of like swimming upstream, you know. And then again, that's where we go back to saying, well, we shouldn't really be dependent upon this society for certain things, you know, if we can count on each other. And so we do have to be more responsible. And I think it's kind of a myth as far as how black men are toward children, because if we listen to Tommy Sotomayor, just to throw a name out there, you'll find that he says things, a lot of things that I don't agree with. But one thing I can understand is he makes sure that he points out the responsibility of black women, and how, you know, he shows examples of them not being the examples that they should be. And if they are held accountable, and we're not just going to talk about how black men don't do things, but black women as well.
Yeah.
Together, women and men as a community, we have the ability to say, okay, these are the changes that we're making so that we can get the results that we're looking for. So we can on us because we want us to improve, and that's what we're going to do. And I think ultimately we do have a spirit within the black community that we do need to get rid of. There's a part of us that needs to change the way that we think, the way that we behave, and we need to spend time paying attention to those who are waking up, who have woke up, look for information, and do a lot of changing inside so we can change as a whole.
Yeah, that's some real shit. That is true. Damn. But to see, the hard thing what it's gonna be is to hold the sisters accountable for certain things, like, you know, the whole quote unquote black woman bashing thing. That's, I don't know, like they don't realize like brothers that care do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think some people are going to give them passes. They say, well, you know, that's your mom. Well, of course that's my mom. Of course I love her. You know, of course that's your mom. I know you love her. Or, you know, whomever this may be, if their mom is not behaving in the way that we'd like, you know, but she still needs to have someone. You know, everyone answers to somebody.
That's true.
So,
that
you know, if
true.
it's, you know, even if it's just only God that they want to consider that they're answering to, there is there is someone to answer to. And, you know, they might want to go ahead and make that effort to say, you know, I do need to straighten out. But I think a lot of women and men are in a place where they're like, you know, I don't care. You know, so.
And a lot of us want to be in the independent mindset. You know, I was talking to a friend. I was like, you know, we're so independent. If, like, families got together and buy, you know, rows of houses and stuff. We'll own land and stuff, but the thing is that people want to be independent, move somewhere, and then they die, and then no family gets the house or nothing, you know. We really, yeah, it's just, black people are in a sad state in this country, man.
Right. There's quite a bit of work to be done, and I think when there's a lot of work to be done, it's something like infrastructure. That means there's a lot of progress that we can make. That means money being made, situations being made better. And in that work, that's a part of what will actually get us where we're going. That's where money will be generated. That's where our strength will be generated. That's where our information and unity will be generated.
That's true.
So that's all the work we have to do. We just have to go ahead and continue pressing forward. And a lot of the leaders that we have today, and I think a lot of them we're actually seeing on platforms such as YouTube or here on social media or just on the internet in general, there's a lot of people that if we really pay attention to whom they are and they stay on their path, we'll get to a point to where these will be the leaders that we need.
That's true. You know, I was thinking that we should have like a black like royal family. Like we should have some selected royalty and just kind of, you know, I mean that wouldn't hurt. You know.
Yeah, you know, that's funny as well, because if you have, you know, if we do develop any sense of leadership, I think a lot of us, we really don't want leadership. We have people who are in leadership positions who say, you know, we really don't need leadership. And you don't find anywhere in the world that there's not a leader of a people. Well, it actually shows that that it's not only, of course, common or practical or a normal thing, but it's needed and even desired. So in the case that we have, you know, maybe a royal family, something of that nature, I would hope it's not going to be like the housewives in Atlanta.
I know, right? That's what they want, though, man. But you know what's funny? Like, the thing about, like, the black leaders, you know, a lot of times, too, people are afraid to be a black leader because the thing is that it's like a whole group of ducks and one duck sticks his head up, you know, to get shot. And the thing is that in the black community, we don't even take care of our leaders or our scholars and stuff. You know, look at Umar Johnson's and look at the people that are asking for, you know, chump change in comparison to what we just gave the Black Panther. See what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, damn, it's like, you know, what are we really gonna do? Because the thing is that we don't protect our leaders. You know, people like to play around like, you know, Martin Luther King had this big following. Martin Luther King didn't have this big following, but he had enough black people doing right to say, okay, this is a movement. You know, same thing with, you know, Malcolm X and, you know, Farrakhan and things like that, which that too is a touchy subject between those two brothers, but you know.
You know, I think blacks as a whole, you know, we have a culture, and I think our culture is very fad driven. You know, we like to be up on the latest dress code, the latest language, so being so fad driven, there's going to be things that we'll have to do, and I think first of all, if we're going to have anyone in a position of leadership, they do have to have deep founded or rooted strength. And some of that strength is not counting on the people in general to take care of you, but actually people that you surround yourself by. So if they are truly the intellectual, studied, dealing with the right people, making the right unions, they'll rise to a level to where, like the Secret Service, the military, the police, these are things that people can develop, but they have to do it right. And I've seen pretty shabby ways of doing things. I've mentioned before the state of the actual new Black Panther, that, the structure, you had different people talking about killing babies, and I don't think that they should even be on the microphone, especially if they're going to have an actual affiliation and they're actually representing, and then they're not actually on the mic in a form of politics, addressing the public, but instead they're kind of just out on their own little platform. It just is not, just wasn't organized enough to see that. Now, that individual I haven't seen in a while, thinking something must have happened. I haven't really found anything on that. But I think it is important that whomever is going to be in leadership, people will follow. Like, one of the reasons I might like a person who's in a leadership role isn't so much that I want to have someone to follow. It's going to be to the fact that they're saying exactly what I'm thinking. I may not agree with everything, but I can tell that the level of reasoning, the direction that we're going, and especially if I have the ability to put some input and, help to get us in the direction that we need to go. Everyone wants to prosper. Everyone wants to be able to, help build their society in the way that they, envision it. Then that individual does have to represent me to that extent.
Yeah, I agree. And the funny thing about it too is like people like Umar and Boyce Watkins and stuff, they're scholars and stuff, and we don't put our scholars forward neither. So it's just, man.
We've had a number of them apparently dying broke and so on.
Yeah, that's another thing too. We don't take care of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't have anything set up to be able to say, okay, well, this is where they actually draw their funding so they can teach. It's something that provides them an opportunity to retire. So I think we're actually in the process of building these sort of things. But it's going to take some time, and we do have that part of the built-in racist type structure here that we'll have to fight against. We have to fight against the coons who, for some reason, feel that they need to fight against what we're trying to build, when in the long run, this is something that they would be able to benefit from.
And I think, too, to a degree, we got to fight with ourselves because, we model the structure as a form of success. When we get money, we go to Gucci, we go to Tom Ford, we go to all these places, monikers and of success. And we identify with, the dominant society on a success standpoint, feeling, where I guess we feel we are in life, how each individual Negro interprets it. So it's like, it's crazy.
I think that, just as a kind of a cultural thing, our fad is driven by, we like to look good, we like to smell good, we like to look good. And if we've been dealing with a number of things in life, we can at some point say, at least I had a really good day to day, a good time. You know, I got those shoes. You know, I've always wanted them, and this is the one that I indulge in when I get an opportunity. I don't really care what anyone says. Now, me personally, I don't do that. I don't really look at how much my shoes cost. I want to look and feel a certain way.
Be comfortable, yeah.
If I did find myself, wealthy, let's say to the extent of having millions, I'm sure I'd indulge in a number of things that I've always wanted to indulge in. I don't really think that that's a problem.
Well, shoot, since we talking about, like shoes and things like that, let's jump into this game. I guess that's why everybody's here, but we want to show you that, we want to show you also that, we are intelligent brothers and we talk about real shit. A lot of times people take, especially what you've done for, a joke, and it's a level of seriousness behind it. And I think, if you guys are listening right now, that you guys gotta, have an ear for this shit. The things that we're gonna be, discussing and chopping up on the show is gonna be, we're gonna be working with some nuclear weapons and shit right now. You know what I'm saying?
Dropping the bomb.
We're gonna be some chemists in here, man. That's how we rocking right now. So speaking of,
I wanted to touch on what you said. If we're going to translate that into game, because I think game is a very powerful tool. I talked about how, with the Mac Mind, what a person should be aware of are their tools. These tools help you to advance.
Yes.
If you look like success, you can actually bring about success. If you and I said, brother, I got something to sell here, take a look at this, why don't you give this a try? Now, if I walked up to you and I looked like I just came from Skid Row, you'll probably say, no, I don't really have time, but, I'll try to catch you on the flip side. But I walked up to you and I looked like success, and I said, hey, on this, what you're going to find is, even more success for you. If you want to grow, if you want to be entertained, whatever it may be, then you may say, you know what, I'll check that out. It'll have more of a value to you. It really is a part of game. As for having tools, that it's going to have someone understand that you mean business, you have to look like the business that you mean. So we have it pretty good as far as saying that blacks in general, as kind of have the culture, a certain fad type mentality. They want the latest shoes and so on. So I don't really see that there's a problem with that, for as long as on the other side we do pay attention to buying from each other and so on. So if we were going to buy expensive shoes, we need to buy them from, say another brother in that case, so we can keep our money and have it turn over in our own society.
That's true. Yeah, we have to practice group economics. That's one of the first things black people have to practice. I got this book from the brother Claude Anderson, Powernomics. Really good book. Really good book. I also promote a app on this site, you guys, if you get a chance to check it out. It's called Bob Spotter, BOBSPOTTER. Download that brother's website, his app. And what that app is, Bob is an acronym for Black Owned Business Spotter. So, it has a search bar, so you can type in what you're looking for on that app, and it will show you a black-owned business in your area that sells that particular product. So, thank you later. And you're absolutely right. You know what's crazy with the shoes, though? Do you know why these kids are out here dying over shoes? You want to know the crazy thing it got to do with the dating game?
No, go ahead and tell me.
Have you ever noticed when a woman is kind of shy or whatever, she like looks down? A lot of times, they check out your shoes. And what's the one thing women can't have enough of? Shoes.
Right. Women do love shoes.
Yeah. So the Jordans is like a status of success. So like, what's a pastime in the black community is like, oh, you got the fresh new Jordans that just came out. Dang, when did those come out? And they do it up, with the Jordans and stuff. And then when the girls see it, they're like, damn, okay, shit. That's why dudes don't even have to have a car nowadays to even really pull something. But what we're talking about, fellas, is a tool. That's a tool.
You know, when I was introduced to the game, when someone told me about tennis shoe pimping, I thought tennis shoe pimping. I hadn't, of course, put much thought into it, so I had to put some thought into it. What I've seen over time. For whatever reason, I enjoy tennis shoes like anyone else, but I never really cared for Jordans. I didn't think that they looked good enough to me, but I always figured to each their own.
What was your shoe?
I would probably wear a Nike, a Puma.
Okay.
I need them clean white with the laces clean, and then I'm color coordinating. And I just felt like they looked better, just some Cortez. At the same time, I could also understand when somebody's, wearing the iconic Gators.
Okay.
Having a form of dress shoe or something. That's probably more my flavor, but yeah, it's okay. If a person likes to have Jordan.
Did you mess with the Air Maxes and stuff, like the Huaraches and all of those?
I didn't even think that the Air Max really even looked that nice. There's been a lot of tennis shoes come out over the years. I was even a favorite of the OG Wallabies. I wear those.
Oh, I remember that.
Right.
Yeah. Have you played around with like moccasins?
Yeah, I thought the moccasins were a bit more on the Indian side, and a lot of people I know that they have an heritage related, or they would at least say that they do. Yeah, no, I've never ever worn it. No.
And I tend to forget too, man, fellas, man. This brother's from the West Coast, so what the fuck he's talking about is legit. It checks out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I got to keep it 100.
Yeah, man. So y'all know that shit is legit. But man, shoot, I forgot about like there's a lot of Native Americans out there. They get a lot of benefits and stuff too. Like, one thing before we jump into the next subject, which is tools and sharpening the tools and putting it together with the game. One thing is, they were saying that a lot of people got compensated, like over time in history. Like the Jews got compensated. Because they like to compare the Jewish Holocaust with slavery, which as we were just completely stripped. We didn't have a faith or religion to kind of cling to during those times to actually give us a sense of morals or anything like that. But they said everybody, like the Indians and other races, have been compensated, but black people, when it comes to, like, I wouldn't say just reparations, but just having specific laws,
Right, protection.
Yeah.
I do think that sort of thing is due, but at the same time, we know that there's a war against us. There's a number of times where, I think as a black man, I don't think it's possible in the United States to ask a black man, have you ever been to jail? And he actually hasn't. If he could make it to 40 and not have been to jail at one time for something, there are things that you really shouldn't be going to jail for, but they'll have you turn around with hands behind your back and take you to jail.
Yeah.
So I think with there being a war against us, then we really are not going to see any sort of reparations. We're not going to see them make up for what they've done. Here and there, we might have a little biscuit tossed our way, but I don't think that's what we're going to see. And I don't think we really need to be bitter behind it, because we can get a lot of pride out of the fact that we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps.
That's true.
And I don't mean that in a way to where we wouldn't have any pride. It's going to bring us a sense of, you didn't give us reparations. Matter of fact, you had a systematic oppression, going on, and we were able to overcome it, So I think that they are afraid that at some point, by being God's chosen people, we're going to rise up and we're going to have the world follow us. So I think that that's in our future.
That is really true, man. That is really true. Do you think though, like, do you think that we were brought here for a reason? Because, in wake of like a lot of things going on, and I think the other day a lady in Florida said it, even a white guy said it. I covered it on the show, but I would have to go back and see which dude said it. But do you think that us coming to America was kind of like a blessing, because it looks like even the our African brothers and sisters that are over there, they're kind of going through an old form of slavery. Like what's going on in the U.S. is like a really updated form of slavery, and then rest of the parts of the world kind of follow suit. So like the form of slavery that they're kind of going through is like a petty slavery, but they're kind of on their time, so kind of they don't know really what's going on, like how like over here how we seen it up close and everything. But there's a lot of stuff going on over there. But do you think that we're in a special position to be here in America?
I think that it would be the other way around. No matter where we go, we're going to be a blessing to where we go. And we have our coons, we have our people who are not in proper alignment. They're on the wrong frequency. But I think the specialness of the African American in general, the things that we can teach other people of color, the peoples with melanin who are not necessarily the people we are, but overall, when we have an understanding, because I didn't really want to get into details about, who we are, but as African Americans, no matter where we are or where we go, because we're actually spreading out now, we're heading to different countries.
Yeah.
We are going to be the leaders of the world. So I think anywhere we are, they're going to be blessed to have us. And at some point, we'll actually get the reverence that's due.
I believe so too, because like even places like in Cuba, Castro set up things for us and things like that. It's just us taking the initiative to move around and see that we're liked in other places too. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for us to undo a lot of what's been done.
All right, so listen, man. As a thorough man in this game, if you had to go to sleep tonight and wake up anywhere else in the world, name 3 places you would like to wake up at.
That's interesting. I'd have to say, if I'm just going to talk about a physical place, waking up in the morning, I'd like to be able to wake up in South Africa. It's a place that I'm going to make it a point to visit before I leave this earth. Second place, I'd probably be looking more at, my hometown. So if I could wake up there and actually construct a number of things that I have visions for, then that would be great. Whether my hometown, I make it wherever it's going to be. And third place, if I ever have to wake up somewhere, and maybe in heaven, I want to go ahead and wake up there.
That's deep.
I need to.
That's deep, man. I think that's the place everybody wants to wake up.
Right. There's no denying that there.
Yeah. Shoot, do you think Earth is like a form of purgatory? We're just here just to wait?
I think there's a lot of ways to view the reality that we're in, and some ways it can be beneficial to view it in a certain way, and then in order to have the sort of benefit we'd like to have, we'd have to view it differently than maybe the common person or what we would like to view it as. So I don't necessarily view it personally as a purgatory. I think persons can look at it that way. I don't look at it as a hell on earth. I think of it as a place where we can actually create the existence that we want. So
that's what they say too. Like here on Earth, they say heaven and hell is a mind state too, and
right.
that's really important for you guys to soak in that information during the times of practicing the game and dating and or just doing what you're doing, involving the opposite sex.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think we can make the world whatever we want it to be. If we could really capture the essence of what it is to have the power of creation, then we wouldn't necessarily have to live in the hell that we perceive, because ultimately the way that we interact with each other, our level of cooperation, level of understanding, the amount of compassion we have for each other, these things, we can actually create the environment that we want to be in. And in some cases, if we had someone, bring us something negative, we know that, well, this wasn't what we were looking for. A person actually brought this over. I did what I could do in that situation, but that person is probably living in, a constant negative sort of environment.
Yeah.
Not aware.
Yeah, because some person could just be pessimistic and see their glass half empty instead of half full and bring it to you.
Right.
Yeah. Shoot. Listen, man, y'all, we got Brother Wise in the building, man. Y'all definitely got to soak up some of the game, and we're definitely talking about some things to let you guys know that, man, we are abreast on what's going on. Giving it to you real rugged and raw, showing you what's really going on. People really not gonna talk about, the stuff that we're talking about. And this isn't like politically correct, favorable information,
No, we can only be 100% with ourselves.
That is completely true.
Get it how you live it.
Alright, y'all, so listen, what we're gonna do before we get into the second half of this whole shindig, man, because we're not gonna give y'all the whole game, but we're gonna really show y'all what's going on. And I'm glad you guys are here in the building, kicking it with us, man. We just gonna kick it, do whatever we doing. And we wanna talk about tools. Now, with tools, what you guys have to understand is your tool can actually draw attention to what you're doing, but you have to be congruent with your tool. Meaning, fellas, if you have a screwdriver, you actually have to know what a screwdriver is, what it can be used on, how to use it, and it's all in the wrist once you learn all of that.
There you go.
But what we want to instill into you guys is to have a toolbox. In this toolbox, you'll carry it wherever you go. Now, in the first stages of the game, when you start to develop a toolbox and you have, your billion Allen wrenches and you got your sockets, screws, and you got your Phillips head, you got your flat heads, and you got equipment. Some of it could be motorized, some of it, What we want you to do is, in the beginning, the stuff that we're going to be talking about and teaching you, you're going to feel like you're carrying your tools in your toolbox in your hands, and you're feeling the weight, and you got to just lift it and lug it around. But then once you realize what you're actually doing, your toolbox actually goes into, I guess you would say, your brain, your head. It will become natural after a while because you will start to have subconscious leadership with what you're talking about. And this happens all the time, fellas. And we're going to get into the progression model on the second half, and we're going to kind of talk about it versus being a natural. Because what you're trying to do is break down what the natural does. If you ever had a friend that just naturally gets women, you're like, oh, what is he doing? How does he do that? How can you read this person or read what he's doing to see why he's honey and these bees want to mess with him? Or he has pollen or whatever, So these tools that we're going to talk about, you have to be congruent with them. And earlier on the show, we were talking about shoes and things like that. And ladies look at shoes. They like shoes. Dirty shoes, clean shoes. They love bright shoes, colors. They even like you to buy them shoes so they can match with your shoes.
That they do.
So crazy. And fellas, if you look at women's shoes, this is not by coincidence. This is something that's just out there. They got slippers, they got high heels, they got flats, they got even regular basketball shoes, they got stilettos, they got red bottoms. They got all kinds of... You know how much money they be charging for them shoes? It's ridiculous. So, you have to understand a woman can never have enough shoes, so...
No.
So
No, I see quite a few shoes with different women. You know, when they really start to collecting their shoes, they have shoes with different
oh yeah.
different visions, and most definitely.
And what women don't realize is that we're hip to the game. Ladies, when your lady wears some heels out, tell her to get some slippers or whatever and put them shits in her purse.
Uh,
So, what are some other tools? We got cars, we got money, we got, dress game and stuff. You know what's funny too, Brother Wise, now that I have you here, I really want to talk to you about this. Some people tailor their game to their tools. What's your thoughts on that?
It should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around, but some people, that's what they do. Like, you have some guys out here that's like, oh, well, I can't get a woman unless I have a car. Or I can't, you know what I'm saying?
No, you're the one that make your car look fly.
Yes, you're right. Don't put on car bras neither, fellas, man. Car bras are out for the... I saw a car bra today. I was like, oh my God. I can't believe they still make those, but he's definitely right. You do make your car, and you drive it a certain way. You do things with it, put speaker systems in it, rims on it, or whatever. And unfortunately, us as African Americans, that's what the hell we do. But shit, if we gonna do it right, I guess.
Yeah, I would imagine that a lot of times, if a person hasn't been laced to the game and actually developed their understanding properly, they're going to feel like the things that they have define them. So they have to have those shoes. They have to have that car.
Yes.
But in actuality, you could have nothing and develop everything that you ever wanted. So when you have these shoes, they can help you to do what you do. But if you're relying on the shoes, then you're not going to find success.
This is
You're
true.
just going to wear them out and have to get some more. You're going to find yourself in a cycle of having things of value, things that people like or want to have. But when it comes down to it, you might even attract people that you don't need to be attracting. You need to be able to have enough game and knowledge to understand that these are tools that you're using, and you're making those things look like or do what they're supposed to do, so that you can get the outcome that you're looking for.
And this is true. That is so true. And another thing, fellas, what we want you to do also when you're out here approaching and working your game is you would like to have a certain outcome, but you don't want to be too outcome dependent. Some things you have to let take its own course, because the thing is when you're too dependent on the outcome, you start to flood your emotions into a certain ending, and when it doesn't do that, it can kind of stifle you in the moment. So what you have to do is, if she says yes, okay, that's cool. She says no, okay, that's cool also.
And that's definitely right. To the fact that she said no, she could be protecting you because she has a disease. You'll never be able to.
Oh my God, exactly.
She might be protecting you from her attitude, from her unwillingness to cooperate.
Yes.
So you definitely don't want everything that comes your way. When there's a no, then you're good for that no.
Yeah.
And if she were to choose somebody else, then you make sure you chose the right person. And I hope you do right by that individual and do right by yourself. But ultimately, if you choose me, then you're not making the right decision. And since you can't make good decisions, it's good you didn't choose me.
And that is absolutely true. And fellas, what you have to understand too is that, you can't look at rejection as something bad. That's the natural reaction to it. What you have to realize is that rejection is a safety curve. Just like Brother Wise said, when they tell you no, they could be saving you from something. Aside from STDs and things like that, they can save you from wasting your time, stringing you along. You could be doing something else. The time that you spend with a woman not doing what you want could be the time that you can spend with a woman doing what you want. So
Exactly right.
yeah, so you have to be conscious of your time, fellas. Your time is your only valuable resource that you can get to use. When you blow money, you can go work, but you have to spend your time to make that money back. You can always make money back. You can never get your time back. So you have to be wary of what you're putting your time into, and you have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with great information on what you're trying to do. You have to understand what we're talking about. You, to a certain degree, you have to take it to a religious level. These have to be principles that you implement in your life and things that you do to find success in what you do. So just like a religion, it's the same exact thing. You always have to be sharpening yourself and sharpening your tools. Fortunate for you guys that you don't have to really dive yourself deep into something. You just have to know a little something about something, and you can still get great results.
I would say, in jumping in there, time is one of the most valuable things that you have, and you also have sex and money. I have a video where I spoke on sex, time, and money. You know, that's a part of the game, intricate. It's not something to be overlooked. I didn't just make it up. You know, it's something that comes in having your shoes laced on up there. So when you're developing the game and you know that you need to be very aware of sex, time, and money, you know, time is very important. You don't want to spend a lot of time toiling and trying to fight something in the shape of making something happen.
It is.
You know, you definitely have to have the drive, but you don't want to have to fight it into an existence.
That's some real shit. And, you know, the funny thing about it, too, and we talked about it on the show, and I actually want to get your take on it, too, because, see, I like bringing up, like, these kind of principles and running it by you. We said there's only 3 types of relationships here in life. One is either built on money, sex, or emotional. And things like love and anything else that you can think of or are a subcategory of one of the 3. And a lot of times when you choose somebody that you want to be with, you want to get at least 2 out of the 3, you know? So what I'm saying is that if you choose a woman, you want to at least get love and money out of her. Or you either want to get love and sex out of her. Or, you know, one or the other. And she's going to be choosing you on the same merit, too. Now, sometimes in a relationship, it can get tricky because sometimes you guys are depending on each other and switch up. So sometimes it would be love and sex, or it would be sex and just money and, you know, things like that. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, about those 3 relationships and, you know, having that as a criteria, well, that actually being a criteria as to why people will be around you. Because people are going to be around you either for sex, emotional, being a friend, which is another form of relationship, or money.
Well, I'd say I have a take to where if I don't agree or if there's any differences, not to say that when someone says something that they're totally wrong. Everyone's motivated normally by the same principles, and that's pleasure. There's a lot of things that bring it. But you know, I go by the tenets of Mackin. You know, that's just a foundation that I go by. It's found me quite a bit of success.
Yes.
It's found pimping and some success. And, you know, we look at that as an extreme direction for a person to go. And a lot of men wonder, well, how are they able to do what they do? So I think that if a relationship was going to be based on sex, I wouldn't put much value into that. I think it's a perk.
That's true.
But I'm, you know, a Mac, in a lot of cases, is very driven and so on. And just to put it in some very basic terms, I'm greedy. I like to have it all. I don't want a woman for a little bit. You know, I don't share her. You know, I need her undivided attention. You know, I need to be able to have the cooperation that I need.
Yeah.
So probably what I look for the most is cooperation. And that's only going to come about if she has I want to say the emotional connection, be it love, you know, that's something that's normally developed.
Yeah.
And if a person feels like they really care about you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they know how to love you. It doesn't mean that they necessarily know what love is, and they need to be able to cooperate well enough that I be able to let them know what it is. And I can also do it by example. So they need to be able to follow example, not just the direction, even though that's basically a form of direction.
That is some real shit. And fellas, if you pick at what you've just heard, is he's telling you that, you know, he knows how to articulate himself on, you know, different sides of the board. And that in and of itself is a tool right there, you know? It's like,
Yeah, it is.
it's like you really have to articulate yourself, and this comes with reading too, reading the woman.
Right. You know, some of it is behavior. It isn't necessarily when you say something, even though I think it's important that you're going to be able to verbalize or articulate what you're saying. And it actually makes sense. You know, you really can't be all that you could be without having a sound mind. That's basically the reason, the ability to reason, and that it makes sense. You know, the truth is what's important. Getting that result is important, and so if we're really going to have the sort of relationship that we're looking for, you got to be able to give guidance, and also it's going to be in the way that you walk it. You know, it's not about saying, "Hey, woman, just do what I say." You're going to give me, you know, your all, and you're not going to give your all. You have to lead by example.
This is true, man. So, listen, guys, man, we're gonna get into the second half in a second, and we're gonna really, you know, just go straight balls out, just chop it up. So this is the first half, man. You guys gotta really take in what we're saying. You know, we're talking about a whole bunch of game, and we haven't even gotten into it yet. We haven't even started playing with the TNT and the goddamn C4. We haven't started playing with the detonators yet. But you have to listen to what Brother Wise is talking about. You know, he's showing you that, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about a lot of things. And especially on how, you know, this game really works and things that you have to apply. You know, one of our messages that I think that we can agree on, and I know Brother Wise definitely is going to touch on this because, you know, he can articulate it way better than I can, is basically we want to give you guys some, you know, a set of principles and, you know, gambits and a little bit of tactics and things to do to kind of get the success that you guys want. We got to give you the crumbs so you guys can actually try certain things and find some type of success. You know, we're living in times right now where manhood is being downplayed and it's almost acceptable. You know, you can see how guys, you know, can't really carry themselves as men nowadays. You know, if we want to go out and go get some food right now, we just go pop some shit in the microwave. We don't necessarily have to go hunt buffalo and set traps and do things like that, you know. And we're living in a time right now where the black women and just women in general, but we're talking about the black women because we are in the black community, has a lot of the money. And money can provide. Shit. Money can provide. So the thing is that, you know, you guys, the type of relationships that they have out nowadays, because, you know, you have the quote unquote fake intellectual woman that will say, well, if I'm going half on something, he's not the man of the house, or he hasn't provided, or whatever. What you guys are going to start running into nowadays is a lot more combative women because of this. And also how they structure today's household. You have to look at today's household. The nuclear family is damn near gone in the black community. It's down to 27%.
Right.
It's
I'm
crazy.
to say it in that, you know, I always talk about the value of a human being. So that's definitely not to belittle men. And when we look at the fact in the black community that black women carry the greater portion of wealth, you know, it's definite to say you could see that's a very good reason why they're very important. You know, I don't think it's because they found the success that they have that they're to be used or abused, anything of that nature. That's usually the first misconception that individuals have about the game, that it's about lying, sneaking, and cheating. And it really has nothing to do with that. It's really helping the man to develop a foundation within his mind that will help him to achieve the goals that he's looking for, which is also beneficial for the woman. But the man can't do it alone. He's got to have the woman next to him. And, you know, we have people with different sexual preferences. You know, I believe in live and let live. If individuals are going to do things, they can try and translate it as best they can. I don't spend my time doing it. You know, I got love for all my peoples, regardless of their sexual orientation or what they would prefer to do. I would just like it just similar to a religion. You know, if you believe something, I respect you. Just don't push it on to me and force me and fight me according to what you believe, because I want the best for everyone. And I think that's the sort of mindset that we have to have. You know, we may not be wearing this on our sleeves so that we fall victim, but at the same time, you know, in order to get the best results and get all that we can get a lot further if we're doing it with the correct intent. You know, so we can't destroy the world while we're trying to get where we're going. We can't destroy each other. So black women definitely need to be lifted. They're very important, very detrimental for us to do our best to have ourselves in the proper position to join them, you know, so that we can equalize the amount of money that we make, if not make more, because, you know, the better I am, the better off she's going to be. She can count on me.
That is true.
So that's the mindset we'll have to have.
That is true. And we talk about it too, man. When you raise the black man, he's automatically going to raise his woman. That's automatically going to happen, sisters. You know, because a praised black man ain't going to have no just dumb broad around him.
And as long as his mind is right, because if she chooses the wrong man and she raises him, it doesn't necessarily mean she has an ally. You know, she needs to her mind, and without saying, you know what, a Mac is this and a Mac is that, and she doesn't know what she's talking about, then what she is missing out on is an opportunity to build with the proper person. So, you know, we'd hope. So we don't want to raise up the coons and the idiots of our community.
That's
true. We really want to try and build with people who are actually where they're supposed to be.
Shoot, and with that said, that's what it is, man. We're gonna get into the sweet science, man. So you guys, you know, y'all gotta tune into part 2. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have this thing on lock. So we're actually gonna go over the progression model. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We're gonna actually break down some real game, and we kicking it, man. We just, you know, we about to get in a little bit deeper. And you know what you're saying is, you know, really true. Like, you know, you can't really raise, and that's the thing that I'm saying too. It's like our scholars, we kind of downplay them, you know. We kind of downplay them in their overall message, like the Boyce Watkins and the Umar Johnsons, the Brother Polites, you know. It's a mixed bag. We don't get it though. Huh?
Sometimes I think we actually get caught up in the drama of the things that's going on.
That's
true.
True.
I think that's pretty unfortunate as it pertains to the community, that we really can't look past and say, okay, I see that this brother made a mistake. First of all, who in the world is perfect? And second of all, you know, are they at least on the path that we can still support and say, well, I support the path and I'm still behind you.
Yes.
You know, I'd like you to not do something that you were doing. Let's go ahead and move on, you know, basically, and talking to these individuals in these situations. Let's not make the situation worse. Let's not sit around and hang out dealing with some issues that don't really exist. I have a quick story I want to tell.
Okay.
Been driving down the street while in the game. I have a woman next to me, and I was talking about progress. Now, mind you, you know, maybe I talk a lot or something. You know how it is when you have information and you want to share it.
Definitely.
And she stopped and said, hey, look how many trash cans are down the street. And so I looked over, and it was trash day. So, you know, everybody seems like they didn't miss that day. All the trash were out, and they were going all the way down the block. And I was thinking, oh, wow, phenomenal. You know, big deal. You know, really, I was thinking, why did you distract the actual message and not take the time to understand what's being said? Maybe because you didn't want to miss the opportunity to say, look, but it really wasn't awing to me. I've seen trash cans out on trash day before. So we have to be able to not be easily distracted.
That's true. I agree. Do you think though ADD is a real thing, or do you think that's something that's kind of made up? I think ADD kind of to a degree is a real thing with technology.
I think ADD is made up. I think ADD is something that comes about because of the way different households, different societies, and the way that they run. You know, but it would be almost like saying that post-traumatic stress disorder doesn't exist, and we know that it do. So I think it's a form of traumatizing in a way. It's basically a form of not having this instilled in a child or even an adult who would be considered to have ADD discipline, and discipline is very important.
That's true, especially self-discipline. Self-discipline comes before everything, and the stuff that we're talking about, you got to have a certain level of self-discipline, and you have to have a certain level of respect for knowledge and seeking it.
Right.
All right, y'all. Give us a minute, man. We're gonna get into the mix, and then we're about to get into the second half. Brother Wise in the building, man. Thank you for coming through.
I appreciate you inviting me, brother.
Yeah, we about to get into the second half, y'all. Give us a second. We're gonna get into the mix. You guys do not wait up, man. The game is gonna be alive and well, man. Tune in. Let's get it. It's Player Talk Radio.
You're now in the mix with the young DJ Cuda.